You're listening to the Just Japan podcast. Everything you want to know about Japan.
Well, hey there, folks, and welcome to episode number 197 of the Just Japan podcast. Everything that you want to know about Japan. My name's Kevin. I am a Canadian who lives and works currently in Beijing, China, but called Japan home for many, many years. That's a place that I love and I podcast about. Now, this week I'm pretty excited. We've got a returning guest, but you know what? It's been a really long time since this guest was last on. October 2014 to be precise. I'm really happy this week to have Eric Surf 6 back on the podcast. Eric Berg, Mr. Eric Berg, famous YouTuber extraordinaire, juggler, and now food vlogger, based out of Japan. And if you guys are fans of YouTube and of Japan, you probably know who he is. So he was kind enough to take the time to stop by the podcast again, and we had a great chat just a few days ago, all about his channel, about him. He, of course, and very, Eric style, interviewed me as well, because that's how he likes to do things, and that was okay. Guys, thank you for taking the time to download this episode. I really appreciate it. I'll get this out of the way to start off. The home of the podcast is over at justjapanstuff.com. We got a Facebook page, facebook.com/justjapanstuff, and you can find me on Twitter at madformaple. That's right. My Jalen Kev Twitter account is no more. So come on over if you're into Twitter and follow me at madformaple. All right, so this is the last Just Japan podcast episode of the Heisei era. That's right, guys. I'm recording this on Saturday, April 27th. And on May 1st, a new era begins in Japan, the Reiwa era. So you guys probably all know that the emperor is stepping down, retiring, and his son is going to be stepping up and becoming the emperor of Japan. And that's going to be happening on May 1st. So a new era begins in Japan. And right now, people in Japan are enjoying an extra long Golden Week holiday. Golden Week holiday is actually 10 days back-to-back this year in Japan. So there's a lot of people in Japan traveling, doing all kinds of stuff. And that, of course, the reason why it's so long this year is because of the fact that there will be a change in emperors. And May 1st also happens to be a holiday here in China, May Day, and my daughter's birthday. She's going to be 6. So, So, guys, I'm really happy to be back making this podcast each and every week. I'm really happy that you guys are enjoying it. The downloads are incredible. I'm so impressed that after not doing this show for basically 2 years, so many people are into it, downloading the episodes, listening to it, enjoying it. So, guys, thanks a lot. And remember, share the love, spread the Just Japan podcast. Hey, if you got a great story about Japan, a great Japan story, and you think you should be on this podcast, reach out to me on social media. Let me know. You can also email me over at justjapanpodcast@gmail.com. All right, guys, so on with the interview with Eric Berg, a.k.a. Eric Surf 6. Okay, guys, so it's episode 197 of the Just Japan podcast, and it's been too long, but we've got a returning guest on the podcast, Mr. Eric Surf 6. Eric, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. It's great to be back.
That's right. And just before we start recording, Eric and I were talking, and the last time he was on the podcast was in October of 2014, which left me scratching my head like, have I been doing it this long? But yeah, so it's been a long time. Overdue. Well overdue.
Yeah, 5 years, man. Congrats on 5 years of the Just in Japan podcast.
Yeah, actually, I think it's probably pushing 6 because that was episode 35 that I interviewed in, and yeah. But I mean, okay, so
hang on a second. Well, let me introduce you now. So I know this guy as Busan Kevin, right? The Korean YouTube guy. And then he moves to Japan, and then he's got this Just in Japan podcast. But no. He keeps going. Now he's Beijing Kevin or whatever you want to do. It's amazing.
No.
Yes.
No Beijing. No, it's Beijing, Kevin.
All right. So first question on my list, Kevin, is for you, and then you can go ahead and question me. All right. All right. So what is the difference between living in Japan, from living in Korea, from living in Beijing? 1 minute or less. Can you do it?
Okay, all right. Let's see. The food's really different. Unfortunately, it's very polluted where I live right now. So, you really have to think about the environment. And actually, I'm just pulling some fluffy seeds out of my hair that are floating around outside. But yeah, I think the environment's a big one. Where I live in Beijing, the air quality is not good. So you have to have air filters in your house, air filters at school. You have to wear a mask when it gets high. Yeah. So it's not easy. It's not easy. So it's a challenge. Yeah, so you just miss I miss like the nature and the kind of the natural cleanliness of Japan.
Right. Japan's got a lot of beautiful nature, doesn't it? And clean air for the most part.
It does. And for those out there who are listening, they probably they do know this already, but we are leaving Beijing in about 6 weeks. We're moving.
Oh,
so we're staying in China. We're moving to a city in the south called Shenzhen, which is right beside Hong Kong.
Okay. I know it well.
And that's okay. So we're moving to Shenzhen, and I've got a job at a really amazing school down there. That's really we've leveled up the career to the kind of like the max thing. So yeah.
So you're going to be a school principal, is that right?
No way. No thanks. I would not. I would no. That's a job that's way tougher than I want to handle. Yeah. So now I'm back. It's back at you. And
all right, hit me.
So for those out there who are listening to this podcast who maybe aren't people who watch YouTube, or maybe they're new to the podcast, in a nutshell, can you tell the listeners out there a little bit about who you are and what the heck is it that you do on YouTube?
Well, that's a good question. I've been on YouTube since the beginning. I started very, very early on, before there was monetization. And I just did it as a hobby. I was living in Japan at the time, and I would do it to make surf videos and then to make videos of my family, my two sons basically in Japan growing up, and then just send them, send those videos to people through YouTube. Send them out to my family and stuff to send links. I mean, it wasn't really like a public thing so much back then. It's like the whole subscriber thing. It was very, very small. So that's what it was. It was a way to share videos with family. In the early,
I was
going
to say,
it was a totally different
platform. Yeah. No, I don't know if I've been on this. I'm not sure. I mean, I've been on since 2006, and
when I joined.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was on back in 2006, there was okay. Hold on a second. I'm having a whole. I'm stopping for a moment here. I'm looking at the YouTube channel, seeing if we're recording this. But when I started in 2006, I mean, there was no monetization, right? Like you didn't make money. No one made money.
Right.
We did it as a hobby. But your channel started to evolve into something more, right?
It did. Yeah. About a year in, I posted this video called "The Pencil Trick." And I mean, it's silly. So since this is on video, I guess I can just show it. There's a pencil, and then it's a silly 2-second trick. That's all it is. You're just kind of whipping it around down to the bottom and back. And that video has garnered, I don't know, like 12 million views over the years. And because of that, I kind of started sort of like a tricks and puzzles sort of, I guess, channel, if you will, like playlists and all this. And I did that for a good 3-4 years. And that's what made my channel take off. And aside from that, I also have a background in performing. But when I came to Japan, I performed as a juggler magician during the bubble era. So there was, a lot of money around and stuff like that. And so it's comfortable for me to do tricks and puzzles. I mean, I have a lot of it. It was easy for me to come up with that kind of content and post it on a regular basis. Yeah. So that went really well for 2 or 3 years. And then they introduced monetization into the whole, the Google AdSense program and whatnot. So then I started making some money, but then I kind of ran out of tricks and puzzles at some point, and my channel had this sort of low at 2014 when you interviewed me, and I was kind of searching for sort of a new type of content. I was trying all different types of stuff, and nothing seemed to take off. But then at one point, I mimicked the Epic Mealtime channel, which is this huge food channel that does these huge proportions of meals, and they just eat these. They're based in Canada, actually, your country, and they eat these huge proportions of meals. I mean, it's silly. You know, Epic Mealtime, right, Harley?
Yeah, I think they're from Montreal, right? I think he was originally from Montreal.
Yeah, they are. He's got a team of guys, and they're huge now. They've graduated from YouTube and went on to like network TV and cable shows, and it's a whole, you know, so it's a huger thing, yeah. So I started doing some food videos, and then that started taking off. And because I was based in Japan, the food videos like sushi and like hot foods vending machines, convenience stores, tempura, these kind of things that are specific to Japan took off. And I was the only one doing it back in the day. This was probably 5-6 years ago. And that's where the channel is at today. I make 2 food videos a week, mostly based in Japan, but I mean, I travel around and make food videos as well too, which is kind of fun. And then I've just recently started like an Eric Vlog Time, which is kind of a travel vlog series. And then it's got the food involved as well. And I'm working the tricks and puzzles into that as well. So that's sort of the evolution of the channel, just in a quick little sort of, you know, couple minutes.
Well, one thing I'm curious about with your channel, and one thing in many ways, I mean, I commend you for this, but like I think you've probably been in a situation where you could have in the past or even now quit your day job and pursued the dream for many of becoming a full-time YouTuber. What is it that's kept you from quitting that day job?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I'm too lazy. I'd just be sleeping in. I'd be out partying all night. I'd be like pouring myself drinks like this, and I'm not responsible enough. That's number one. And number two is I love my day job. I really, really enjoy teaching at Japanese University. That's my daytime job. I teach in the English department. I have several different classes that I teach. And to me, it's that face-to-face communication that really, I don't know, makes my day, I guess. This it's still, to me, it's not quite there. It's not quite 100%. You know, I mean, I was a stage performer for a long time, and that feeling after coming off a stage is just, there's nothing like it. And that's what being in a classroom is like too, as I'm sure you're familiar with it. Sometimes after you have like a great class, that feeling when you come out of that classroom is just like, I mean, there's nothing that compares to that. No amount of views on any YouTube video will ever like compare to that. So that's one reason why I stay, and I don't think I'll ever leave, honestly. You know, I mean, my YouTube doesn't really need to get bigger. I mean, I'm happy with, I do 3 uploads a week. I'm comfortable with that. It doesn't need to be more frequent. Yeah. You know, I like the balance between the two.
Well, I think one thing, like you mentioned, I think all teachers are natural performers, right? I think everyone who is a professional teacher.
It was an easy transition to me to go from a 15-year career as a juggler into a teaching job. And university is pretty sweet because, I mean, I get 5 months off a year. 5 months off a year paid holidays. It's not like it's a full-time job, really, if you know, and I'm getting national holidays also in Japan. So really, I'm only in the classroom 6 months out of the year. It's pretty, I can get you a gig. You should come over after you're done with your Shenzhen deal. Yeah, you know.
Well, I gotta be honest, I would love to end up in Japan. That's for sure. There's no secret about that.
You're welcome back anytime, man. Yeah,
I would love.
But you look healthy. You look really good. You look happy. You don't look stressed like you. Yeah. Are you running? Are you extra? What are you doing? Because I know you used to do marathons, and you had that running. You had a running podcast.
Yeah, I did for a while.
Right, that was pretty cool. I mean, yeah.
In Japan, yeah, there was like, I think it's called Running in Japan. Running in Japan.
Yeah, something like that. That was great, yeah. And that inspired me to do like an annual marathon in Japan. And I'm still doing I just signed up for my 7th annual. You know, so every year.
I think probably the only time we've met in person would have been the weekend that I came up to Tokyo in 2010 to run the Tokyo Marathon. And there happened to be at the Google headquarters. We met at the YouTube space. At the YouTube space, and was
for a party or something.
No, it was the partnership program was pretty new, so it was kind of like a best practices kind of workshop for the new partners. So you know, I was there, and there was Tokyo Kuni was there, Eco Simon, and a whole bunch of people.
Okay, yeah. I remember that.
Cooking with God.
Yep.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
OG, the OG squad. We're known as.
So yeah, no, like these days, I mean, I don't know, running not so much. It's hard. Like today the air is good, but on other days there's like 2 or 3 days in a row where like even like students couldn't go outside for recess because of the air quality.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I've been to China twice, and there were some issues with air quality when I was there too. I got to witness that, and it just like one day it'll be really nice, clear like skies, and then the next is just it's weird. It's eerie. It's like a zombie apocalypse sort of thing. I mean, it's weird.
It could change like in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, I witnessed that. And it was just like, whoa, it's kind of eerie.
Yeah. Just waiting for the zombies to jump out. But luckily, where we're moving, the air is much cleaner. It's right by Hong Kong. Much better.
Yeah, Shanghai. The south is much better.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Okay, so for those out there who check out your channel, they'll see that you spend a lot of time. You spend a lot of time traveling around, but you're not just in Japan. You spend a lot of time in America as well. And you've got a son who's in university in Japan. You got a son who's in school in America. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of international makeup of your family and why you're bouncing back and forth between the two places?
Well, I mean, it's because my family's in America, of course, my father and my two sisters, and then my wife's Japanese. So, she's in Japan with my youngest son here. So that's what I do. I'm making a balance between the two right now, going back and forth. And here's the kicker. My father just had his 92nd birthday. I was there for his birthday party in March last month. So,
oh wow,
yeah, and, cool. And he's healthy. He's doing well. He drives to the sports club 3 times a week. Goes to the gym, and then he does his own grocery shopping. He's just like because mom passed away several years ago, and then my younger son is living with him and sort of looks after him a little bit, just in case he takes the fall or whatever.
Yeah,
so, that's what's going on. But cool. Oh, and here's the other thing. I'm going to VidCon. So.
Oh, you really?
VidCon, yeah. I just last night I just booked my tickets, and I'm gonna do the industry pass thing, the one, the business. It's expensive.
What is that?
I figure, I'll make some connections or whatnot. And I haven't been to it once, which is like the first or second year when it was tiny, and now it's at Anaheim Convention Center, and it's 25,000 people. It's pretty crazy. Movers and shakers sort of thing. It's there's this huge sort of, coming together between like traditional media, right? TV and online video. And I think it's the place to be. There's a lot of movement, and there's a lot of money going into like internet advertising. And I mean, look what Amazon's doing, right? And Netflix and stuff. It's incredible. So I kind of want to I want to be connected to that in some way, but I don't live in LA. But VidCon, that's the thing. It's 3 full days, and then you can go to seminars and meet people and learn all about it. So anyway, I'm doing that.
Nice.
I'm gonna miss 2 days of work. I'm gonna miss 2 days of work. University. I'll have to make up classes, but I've only missed 1 day in 11 years of my job. So I think I can afford to take a couple days off.
Yeah.
My dad's going to be very sick suddenly in the hospital, and he's going to have a surgery. Yeah, and scheduled for exactly the time during the VidCon conference. So funny how things work out like that.
There's a lot of coincidence in life, right? You got
to do what you got to do, right?
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. Like that's awesome. You're going to be going to VidCon. I've always wanted to go to VidCon, and someday maybe I will if I ever get back into YouTube. So I guess I sent you some talking points. You've already answered like one thing I was going to ask, and you've already answered that. Are you going to continue with this YouTube thing? Well, it sounds like you're coming off your most successful year. So obviously you're not going to stop anytime soon.
I mean, to be honest, I'm enjoying YouTube more than I ever have before. And yeah. I mean, because I feel really organized. The platform has graduated to this sort of thing where you can schedule your videos in advance. I could potentially schedule out videos 100 years into the future if I wanted to. I could make a video and schedule them for every year after I died. I mean, that's how incredible it is. I can transfer my account to my son. When I pass away, it'll become his account. It's just there. it's going to continue for generations and generations. That's the way it's set up. That's what the medium is becoming. It's blowing away TV. It's blowing TV out of the water. In fact, all the TV, like programs and stuff are coming onto YouTube. All the late night stuff, they're putting all the stuff on YouTube. That's proof. All the like TV celebrities like Jack Black and Will Smith. I mean, where are they now? Where are their fans? On YouTube.
It's interesting. It's cute in a way. Like, I'm teaching at an elementary school. It's an international school, so I've got kids from all over the world. And I mean, like, my YouTube was never what your YouTube was. I mean, we started maybe around the same time, and once upon a time, and early in the Japan days, when that term J-vlog, people were throwing that around, I was, I guess, kind of doing well doing that. But in years, I haven't put a lot of energy into YouTube. But it's really cute. Like, even at this school, like, not long ago, some little girl from Saudi Arabia came up to me in grade 4, and she's like, "Mr. O'Shea, you have a YouTube channel." And I was like, "Yes, I do." And she was like, "I know." And I was like, "Why?" And she was just like, "My father watches all of your videos." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool. There you go."
Your father. Wow, that's a compliment. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really precious when somebody comes up to you and they make that connection with you. That's, they watch your videos or whatnot. That's huge. Cause that's like, in person sort of thing. And that happens to me. It happens to me fairly often especially when I go abroad. It happens in public places and whatnot. Traveling, it happens pretty often. It happened once.
Really? Nice.
It happened once in the LAX airport in the toilet, and I'm at the urinal and I'm like taking a whiz, and the guy right over here, he's a big, huge guy. He goes, "Hey, you're Eric Surf 6," right in the middle of my whiz. That was the weirdest thing, but it was all love. It was so weird.
And suddenly you get a shy kidneys.
I was shocked. It was like, "Oh my God, is this guy coming on to me?" And he's like, "You're Eric Surf 6." And I was like, "Whew, okay." Yeah, so it happens. Yeah. It's being, I guess, like, the internet's a real thing that, I don't really call myself like a celebrity, but I get recognized places. And then when it happens in front of people that I'm with, they're blown away even more than I am. So like my family or whoever I'm traveling with, like my wife or my kids or whatever, they're like, "Again, Dad, really?" Or they'll wind up taking the picture of us or something. So it's pretty weird. And it happens in Japan too, even just traveling around to tourist sites and whatnot. So it's going well, Kevin. Cool. I'm doing like branding stuff now, like the Hato Bus tour. I'm doing that, and I have this other thing with this Arigato Japan thing. There's this huge influx of like tourists coming to Japan. Like inbound tourism to Japan is huge right now. And then the Olympics are coming next year, and I think people that are like business savvy or whatever could make a lot of money on this. There is so much tourism coming to Japan, English speaking, So content on YouTube that's like, doing food like I do, or introducing like, whatever tourist spots or whatever amusement park, things like that are going to do well. I think that type of content.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. People get on YouTube to learn about the places they want to go. That's how I first got onto YouTube. That's how I first got into when I was Busan Kevin, living in Busan, Korea. And I was, dating my Japanese girlfriend at the time, who was now my wife, and we were really serious. And I was thinking to myself, there's probably a good chance we're going to get married and I'm going to move to Japan. So I started finding Japan content creators. And at the time, there were very few, but
that's right.
I started watching you. I started watching Softy Papa and Tokyo Kuni and Kansai PJ.
Kansai PJ, yeah. Well, Tokyo Kuni was sort of the godfather of, introducing these stuff. And
the videos are kind of on a very different level than everyone else's, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
He was doing the professional quality stuff right from the get-go.
He was. Yeah. In like fourth grade, where the screen was like shrunk down like that, a lot of my old videos, they're like that.
It's like a little box, right?
Yeah, and then when it switched to the 16:9, the wide, it was weird because it was hard to figure out the aspects. A lot of times, like your face would be really skinny, there was a period of time where it was so hard to like figure out how to get the aspect ratio right for the new format. Oh, it was miserable, depending on the editing program. But things now are so simple. So what I'd like to say to the people out there, if you guys are thinking about starting a YouTube channel, it is not too late. I mean, everybody's got a cell phone, right? Just make sure you shoot like this.
Yeah, right? Never portrait, always landscape.
Right? Don't shoot it like that. And it's so easy to do now, right? You just make sure you have some decent lighting and and good sound, and you'll be fine. You can do anything you want. People always ask me, "Oh, what kind of camera do I need to buy?" And it's like, well, it's right here. It's in your pocket. All of them work just as well. All the ones, if it's within like a year or 3, this one's 4 years old and it works great.
Yeah, so, yeah, I know. And if you get those new ones like the iPhone 10 and stuff, those are brilliant cameras.
Right? I know. It's amazing that the amount of technology that's packed into a smartphone these days.
I've got colleagues. Yeah. I've got colleagues who have iPhone 10s and they'll put pictures on Facebook and I'll think it looks like they use a DSLR camera.
DSLR, yeah. And then there's the capability to do like live videos now.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I've only done one. It's not really my style. I like to do edited content, but that works really good too. And then you've got like commenting that's happening like as your video's live. So there's it's technology's amazing. It's
pretty cool, man. Yeah. I'm curious with regards to YouTube. I don't want to keep you much longer, but a couple more questions. Who do you watch on YouTube? And obviously, I'm not talking about like Japan related stuff. I'm just like, who do you watch?
Yeah, mostly Kevin. To be honest, I don't have a television. Yeah, I haven't had a TV for several years. I'll watch a little bit, like if I go to a hotel or something like that. Right, that's my kind of time for it. But channels, I mostly news stuff. So I like SXE Philip DeFranco. He's really like evolved over. He was really dorky when he first came out, but I like his stuff a lot now. It's really sort of. It's non-biased, I think, the way he presents stuff. So I like it. And he does like a fair amount of sort of like YouTube news mixed in with sort of the, whatever the news cycle has as well too. So yeah, I like his stuff. I watch a lot of his videos. And then there's the Young Turks, which is, they're putting out a lot of stuff, but I mean, I watch it. I'm not watching mainstream media. That's what I'm trying to say. But so you get, their sort of input, and then
I'm watching both of them. I'm subscribed to
both of them. I don't watch mainstream media. I mean, I'm American, is because everything's become so political these days. It's like I'm just so disinterested. It's just like I don't need, and whatever, all the gossip and all the nonsense that's going on. It's vicious. I mean, if you're gonna do something like that, why don't you just like watch conspiracy video stuff? I mean, that's more interesting. Go down a rabbit hole. That is way more fun than like watching these people just go back at each other, back and forth, and that's what TV has become, and it's sad. I mean, there's a lot of good TV shows and stuff like Netflix and whatnot like that, and that's cool. I understand that. Sometimes I'll binge watch some stuff when I'm on holidays, but for the most part, I mean, I'm pretty busy, and I love my YouTube stuff, and I'm trying to, communicate with my subscribers and in my comments and all that. So I don't really spend much time watching too many people.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally I watch like silly stuff, like if I'm really just brain dead and I've had too much to drink and I've had a long day, watch the Nelk Brothers, watch prank videos or something silly like that. And sometimes that inspires me to do something silly on my channel. Keeps me young, I suppose. Yeah. I like the light sort of fluff comedy. Stephen Colbert, I'll watch his stuff once in a while.
You ever? I like Rhett and Link. You ever watch Rhett and Link? I love watching the meat pots.
I don't like them for some reason. They rub me the wrong way. I know but a lot of people really like them, but hit and miss for me. Yeah. Not a long-term fan, but yeah, I mean, occasionally. Yeah.
I think one person I mentioned when I sent you some talking points there, I would love for you, like, here's a wish for me in the future for you to reach out to. Yeah. I don't know if you've checked out the Food Ranger. He's impressive. He's a Canadian guy living in southern China, and he's done some pretty amazing stuff on his channel.
Yeah, he's amazing. Him and Mark Wiens are the two leaders in Asia for food videos. Yeah, those two guys. Yeah, I would love to. I've reached out to Mark Wiens before, but not Food Ranger yet. I would love to. Yeah, I mean, but he's got a baby now, right? This Food Ranger?
Oh, does he?
I think so.
I haven't watched his videos in a little while.
His wife's he's a newlywed and stuff, but
his wife and him were like they're the production team, right?
Yeah, but both of those guys are like they're into the millions of subscribers now. I mean, they're kind of out of my reach. Who knows?
Try.
Maybe, yeah, but it would never hurt to reach out to them. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
if Kevin, if you want me to do a collab with the Food Ranger, I'll reach out to him because it'd be good for my channel.
Reach out to him. Yeah, because that'd bring a lot of traffic to you.
Yeah, it would. Show me the label on that beer. What is that, a knockoff Molson, or is that the real thing?
This is actually not a beer. This is not a beer. This is a soda water.
Okay. So you're probably safe.
I'm in my place of employment right now, so
okay.
we're drinking fizzy. Yeah, we're drinking fizzy water here. Yeah.
I have a question for you about like China goods. I mean, there's like, is it true that there's a lot of like knockoff products that are even sold in like convenience corner stores and stuff like what? Pepsi, Coke, or beer makers and stuff. Is that true?
Yeah, it is true.
You think there'd be a standard in convenience stores at least, right?
I think you're safe if, like, for example, here in Beijing, there's a lot of 7-Elevens, which is a Japanese company, and the 7-Elevens do stock a ton of Japanese food and drinks and stuff, like all the Itoen tea and stuff like that. So if you're going to a 7-Eleven, you're definitely safe.
Okay.
If you're going to like a kind of a fancy supermarket, but I think it's kind of more when you get out of Beijing and you're getting into the kind of like small supermarkets, countryside shops. That I've watched some videos from Serpensa and
I like that's something you asked. I love his videos.
Yeah, he's down in Shenzhen where I'm moving. Well, actually, he's now more in the States. But him and his partner in crime. Lawai 76.
I'm familiar with him too. Yeah.
He made some videos about like the fake beer, the poison beer, like how there's like
I saw those.
Yeah, that scared the heck out of me, and I think those guys are pretty credible. So I believe it. But I luckily have not had any encounters like they have. They talked about one where they made a video where they had a couple of beers and the beers were like fake beers. So they started getting like really weird and sick and drunk and stuff.
I saw that. I was wondering if that was, they were sort of overdoing that a little bit just for dramatic effect. But I mean, we obviously know there's lots of knockoff products in China and that copyright law, it's not respected. There's no repercussions against it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's no problem at all. Even like my Chinese colleagues, the folks I work with who are well educated and stuff, they realize it too. So we went to last time we went to Japan, one colleague asked my wife to pick up some different products for her, when kids get a fever in Japan, they get like that kind of sticker thing.
Yeah, right. Like sometimes I forget the English. I know I've been in Japan so long. Drugstores.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So stuff from the drugstore, they'll sell those products here in China, and it will have like the same label, the same box. It looks pretty legit, but like the people that we work with are just like, we can't trust it. We have no idea if it's real or not. So can you please stuff up? Yeah,
right. It's interesting you mentioned that because there's this huge influx of Chinese tourists in Japan too. And you know what? The number one thing that they buy and put into their suitcases, stuff from the drugstore. Buying this goods that they know is legit, and they pack. I've watched them. It flock into drugstores like huge numbers, and they're just filling their suitcases, and then packing it right there, and then going to the airport.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah,
because they know that what Japan sells is legit.
Yes, there was like a really big
example of knockoff goods because if Chinese people are coming to Japan and getting it, right?
Oh yeah, and two big things here. A few years back, there was a baby formula scandal where there was like melamine or something, like there was fake stuff put in, like chemicals put in baby formula, and like hundreds of babies were dying. So at that point, that's when I was still living in Japan. There was like a run on baby formula in Japan. Chinese tourists were coming over and just trying to snatch up all good. Another thing that happened, there's been a fake vaccine scandal that happened in the last couple of years. So I'm teaching at an international school. So my the parents here are very wealthy. So what happens with a lot of the kids in my school, when it's time for their vaccinations, the parents fly to Hong Kong, Korea, or Japan just to get the kids vaccinations.
Wow. I mean, do you think a big city like Beijing would, have a handle on that?
They just don't trust it. They're just like,
yeah.
Even like there's like some really nice hospitals here, but they're just kind of like you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, it's just not quite there yet.
Pretty wild.
But that being said, like, how are your work conditions? I mean, I could tell you like your job just by looking. You don't have like the stress lines on your. These went away. You had these lines in Japan. They're gone. Your camera, maybe it's your camera resolution, your internet connection. No, seriously.
Well,
I mean, you look good.
Thank you. Thank you.
I forgot my hair, by the way.
Nice. Life is pretty good. I mean, I can't grow my hair back, but aside from that, no, things are good. I mean, I'm a lot more financially stable than I ever was in Japan. You know,
yeah, that's huge. Raising a young family. That's. Does your wife work, or she doesn't need to? Probably,
yeah,
right?
My wife actually works here at the school.
Really?
She's a teaching assistant at so I work at the Canadian International School, and she's a teaching assistant here. So yeah, she works full time here as well. The whole family's it's a family affair. Yeah.
Did she have that job? Was that part of the package in the beginning, or did that happen afterwards?
No, that was kind of part of the deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I think.
So how's your situation going to change as you move now?
Will we move? Oh, I mean, like right now, I mean, you know, I think less wrinkles because a lot less stress. Like when you're more financially stable, there's a lot less stress, right? When worrying about paying the bill.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's what helped with when my YouTube took off. I was able to like start hiring, you know, editors and get camera people to help me and different. Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah. So when we move, basically, I'm going to be having, you know, a massive pay increase. So it's only going to get better.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll be living right beside.
Do they take care of your moving expenses and stuff like that as well too? They do.
Yeah.
They hired Japan, and you'd have to like cover that yourself in most cases.
Absolutely.
That's
no. It's going to be a shipping company that will move all of our stuff, and you know, once we get down there, we'll have agents who will help us find our apartment near the school, and we'll rent a place. The school pays for our apartment.
You know, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So it's an international school. Are you allowed to say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm going to be working at a school called Sheko International.
Similar to where you're at now, kind of type of thing, right?
Yeah. So it's you know, most of the children are foreign children. Like for example, where I'm working right now, we're in the embassy district, so a lot of children of diplomats are at school here. A lot of kids who, you know, we've got a lot of kids from Saudi Arabia because of the big oil company Aramco. They've got offices here. We've got, you know, it's you know, the foreigners who come here working for big corporations.
Yeah. We have a lot of students from the Middle East at my university as well too. That the government like spends an incredible amount of money on educating, you know, Saudi college students. Yeah. Saudi Arabia, UAE. So actually, I just booked a trip to Saudi Arabia. It's and UAE. Did I mention that? That was before we went live. I think. Yeah. So some of my students have offered. It's like, well, come. They always go home and stuff. So it's like that's going to be a food tour. Because Saudi Arabia, Americans, we've only been able, or I think Westerners in general, like the Saudi government only opened up Saudi Arabia to tourist visas in 2017 or something. So it's very recent.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And now, and from 2018, you can apply online. So it's gotten easy. You don't need special permission or anything. So Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Saudi Arabia, it's on the radar.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what, Eric, I don't want to keep you much longer. I also got to get back home and get the kids start getting them ready for bed. They're still little, so
gotcha.
It's
right.
Yeah. And
well, listen,
thank you.
I want to come visit you in Shenzhen.
Please do.
So that, right? I can fly to Hong Kong and just go across, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like 20 minutes away. Train. It's like right across the.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I've been there once before, but it was before I was making food videos, and yeah, that would be really cool.
That would be awesome.
I feel like it's easier than Beijing.
I think so. Yeah, and you'd have a place to crash.
Oh, awesome! All right, let's keep in touch.
Okay, cool, and thank you for doing this. For all those folks out there listening to the podcast, if they want to find you online, where can they find you?
Eric Surf 6, ERIC SURF, and the number 6, like that, or like that. all across
Nice.
social media, Instagram, whatever it is. I'm on Snapchat, Facebook. You can find me at Eric Surf 6, everything. But YouTube is the main thing that I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for doing this, Eric.
It's great to see you again. Thanks for reaching out and inviting me on the show.
All right, I want to thank Eric for taking the time to stop by the Just Japan podcast. I really appreciate it. He's had so much success over the years with his YouTube, and that comes from just dedication, hard work, and commitment and sticking with it. And that's something that he's done. Really makes me say to myself, hey, Kevin, you need to dust off that Busan Kevin YouTube channel and do some more stuff with that. I really do. Hey, guys, another thing I want to throw out to you is that you may not know this. I did mention it in the last couple of episodes, but I do have a different podcast, a second podcast called the Making Better Teachers podcast. That's over on iTunes and on SoundCloud. It's all about teaching and professional development with regards to teaching. If you're in the education sector, you should check it out. There's definitely something there for you. If you're considering becoming an educator, there might be something for you there. If you're not, well, don't worry about it then. Just hang out here in Just Japan podcast land. You can find that one over at makingbetterteachers.com, or just do a search in iTunes for Making Better Teachers. It's on Google Play as well. We're over there. So go check that out, folks. That's it. That does it for another week of the Just Japan podcast. Everything you want to know about Japan. The last episode of the Heisei era. That's right, guys. Thank you so much for the support. And remember, help the podcast grow by sharing it on your social media. If you're a blogger, write about it. Put people onto it. Get more people listening to this podcast. All right, guys, take care. My name's Kevin. I'm a Canuck. Podcasting about Japan. And wherever you are, guys, I hope you're happy. Hope you're healthy. And I'll be talking to you next week.